Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Let's take you back to our top story today. Of course, labour federations marching across the country calling for a national shutdown. This has, of course, to do with the unemployment rate, the economy and the high cost of living. We've got our reporters Slindelo Masikane as well as Manqoba Mchunu. I'm just going to ask, I'm going to start with you, Manqoba, because you're in the sky looking at this from a bird's eye view. Tell us what you're seeing.
Well, Masiko, we're seeing protesters gathering here at the Burgers Park, but of course not with the numbers that we're hoping to see this morning. Of course, you recall, Masiko, that we've been hearing from SAFTU as well as COSATU that they are expecting thousands, if not tens of thousands of people to come to this particular. But what we're seeing perhaps is a far cry from what they had been promising. In fact, I think this morning, Trevor Shaku from SAFTU saying that they are expecting in the region of about 2,500 people up until 10,000. But it's a far cry, Masiko, from what we are seeing here on the sky. They are quite, a couple of hundreds of people, if I may put it that way, that we're seeing from up here marching down Slindelo. And of course, they'll be making their way to the union buildings. We're also seeing, Masiko, just a few number of people also gathering. We're seeing smaller groups also gathering still at the Burgers Park. And of course, at this particular point, we don't know whether they will be joining this particular march. But what we have been seeing in the past hour or so is just pockets that have been gathering.
All right, Manqoba Mchunu has frozen. Of course, he's in the sky for us, but on the ground is Slindelo Masikane, who is in the capital, that's Pretoria. Sli, Manqoba giving us a bird's eye view of how it's looking in the capital and some areas basically of Johannesburg. How's it looking where you are? We heard the ANC saying some of its members or some members of the ANC who were not paid saying that they'll also join. Have you spotted any of them?
Not at this point. I mean, I'm at the front of the march, but just to give you a sense of what's happening, my colleague and I, Kamani, arrived here just after 7 a.m. this morning. And of course, we know that two federations have called on their members to come to the capital to march to the union buildings to hand over a memorandum. The start point and the meeting point for the march was Burgers Park, which is a few kilometers just up the road. And what I can tell you is that this morning we were expecting, of course, COSATU as well as SAFTU affiliates and members to be marching as one. At least that's what it seemed like from the statements that were made ahead of the march in terms of both affiliations actually making this shutdown on the same day. But what I can tell you is that the march that you're seeing behind me are COSATU affiliates as well as members who have actually begun making their way to the union buildings. You can see actually to my right, a bus has actually arrived with more members that are dropping them off, that are going to join the march that's heading to the union building. So what you're seeing is not SAFTU and COSATU together, but rather COSATU members who have begun their march to the union buildings. Unfortunately, I cannot see what's happening with SAFTU, but I think Manqoba Mchunu, who's up in the sky, will be able to give you a better picture as to whether confirm or deny whether SAFTU has actually started moving. But I think we were expecting very large numbers. From what I can see and from what my camera colleagues have told me is that there's maybe 500 people on the ground right now. We were told there would be between 2,500 and 10,000, but what we've been hearing from officials is that if workers have stayed away from work, even though they haven't marched, then that is a victory on its own. I have spotted Jacob Mamabula from the SACP, who has also actually supported the march and called on their members to actually participate. I'm going to ask you to just move a little bit forward for me. I know, Mr. Mamabula, if you could just give us a sense as to how you're feeling about the march right now, where it is. The numbers are not looking very large, but workers have come out in support of the shutdown.
Well, the South African Communist Party fully supports the strike of the workers, the demands. And we believe that the demands represent the overwhelming and popular expression and real feeling of the people. So from that point of view, we believe that the content of the march and the demands and the issues that have been raised is much more critical and very important. And we think this represents the overwhelming popular expression of the people. And that's why as SACP we are fully behind the march by COSATU, by SAFTU, and the unity of the workers and the trade union movement is very much important to make sure that the needs and aspirations of the working class and the workers are actually realized and those demands are met.
Are you not disappointed that SAFTU seems to have not joined in with COSATU to begin the march? It seems you guys are marching separately.
Well, worker unity takes different form. I don't think we must read wrong things into that. SAFTU is here, COSATU is here, and the presence of all of them on the same route, same place, that expresses the unity of the workers. So we mustn't read that unity in a very mechanical way. They are here, and that's what is important.
Okay, all right, never mind. I see some SAFTU members have actually joined the march. Tell me, are you happy with the organization of workers coming together to say that, look, we want government to intervene?
The main thing here is not about who is the boss and who is the majority. Yes. The main thing is about the working class that is suffering right now. Where that COSATU is here and SAFTU is here, but we all here for the working class. That is what we are here for. We are fighting for our people here.
All right, thank you so much. All right, Masiko, as you can see, I see a few, there's about 3 SAFTU members here, but the biggest group, I left it back at Burgers Park. So you can see from the visuals in front of you that the march is already making its way. I'm going to call it the COSATU march is making its way to the union buildings, and at some point I think we will be seeing SAFTU as well making their way as well.
All right, Slindelo Masikane in the capital. And Sli, I wonder what some of those ANC members, well, it looks like they're ANC members because they're wearing ANC regalia, as well as Jacob Mamabolo is saying about the fact that essentially they're marching against themselves as government. Slindelo Masikane in Pretoria. And what you're seeing on the other side of your screen is, of course, that aerial view. Our reporter Manqoba Mchunu and his camera colleague are in the skies for us, checking on how it's looking from that view. Of course, we know that COSATU and SAFTU said they're expecting thousands of people, so we're expecting that at some point the capital will be at a standstill. But in the meantime, let me take you to Polokwane, where COSATU President Zungiswa Losi has been leading the shutdown in that province, and our reporter Moloko Moloto is there. He joins me now live for an update. Moloko, I understand that Zungiswa Losi has already arrived there at that march. What has she said about what she thinks in terms of the numbers?
Good morning, Masero. Yes, indeed, in Polokwane, the march that is led by COSATU is underway already. But what I can tell you is that just in front of us, as we are now heading towards the office of the Premier, there is another parallel march, one that is led by Union Federation SAFTU. They are more like about a kilometer apart, and that goes to show you that it doesn't seem like they are together. That is COSATU as well as SAFTU. But I must point out that they started at one place. They assembled at one place, and they seem to get, you know, there were no contestation in terms of rivalry, except that the one group was on the one point and the other group was on the other side. But let me indicate that some of the leaders who are here joining this particular march by COSATU, they include the General Secretary of the SACP, Soli Mapaila, as well as the President of COSATU, Zungiswa Losi, but also the Provincial Secretary of the ANC in the province of Limpopo, Ruben Madache. Among them is the MEC of Roads and Transport in Limpopo, who is a member of the SACP Central Executive Committee. and her name is Polly Bushielo. But let me bring into this conversation Mr. Soli Mapaila, who is the newly elected General Secretary of the SACP. Sir, thank you so much for making time. Why is it important that the workers should leave their workplaces today and join the march in the streets?
No, it's very critical because the question of inflation, the high cost of living, of everything that we live on and survive on, it's affecting all our people. And therefore, we applaud this action by COSATU to raise the concerns of the workers and the working class in general about the impact of inflation, the high cost of transport, of food, of everything. And therefore, on the one hand, their wages are not increasing. So we stand with them to say this is an important action. It must be continued until government intervenes and owns the public people's economy, so that we don't rely on the markets to intervene on behalf of the people, because they have dismally failed in that regard.
But somebody can say, how is this march going to practically change those conditions or challenges that the working class as well as the unemployed are faced with?
Today, workers who are here have withdrawn their labor, which is the most important thing, that certain areas of production have come to a stop because workers have withdrawn their labor to express their feelings. This is the highest expression that workers can have against any kind of dissatisfaction that they have. From here, from this kind of action, if both the employers, including the public sector and the private sector, ignores this, workers will develop a different kind of consciousness, a consciousness that will want them to take over society and to lead society, which is a consciousness that we are wishing it could come quite sooner as the Communist Party. So we're simply saying to the capitalists out there, as well as to the democratic government, to listen to the concern of the workers and to address them as soon as is possible, because people cannot survive under these particular conditions, and the instruments that have been used to respond to their challenges have proven to be ineffective.
Yeah, but somebody's going to say, as the SACP, you are in an alliance with the governing African National Congress. What type of a takeover would you really like to see when you are currently supporting the African National Congress, which people will blame for the status quo?
Yes, we are in a political alliance with the African National Congress, but we are not running the economy. We are not the bourgeoisie. We are not the capitalists that are owning the economy. Our economy remains largely capitalist economy, owned by the big oligarchs and capitalists and the bourgeoisie. And the democratic government, which we support because it's led by the ANC that we are in alliance with, it needs to put more effective policies that we have long agreed in the alliance. Those policies, majority of them are not being implemented. If they were implemented, we should not be in these conditions that we are today. And therefore the support is unconditional to the working class.
Last one from myself. You were recently quoted as having said that the throne in the movement, the liberation movement that is led by the African National Congress, is actually vacant. In other words, somebody can say you are saying the center is not holding. But therefore, you supported the current president to become the leader of the ANC. The ANC has announced that it will be announcing the nomination possibly next month. Will you, as SACP, continue to support Ramaphosa as the president of the ANC?
We leave that to the structures of the ANC. We support the ANC, but we support the ANC that is pro-working class. And if the ANC deviates from its primary mandate, we would have to take different decisions as the Communist Party. But centrally, our struggle for transformation in this country, it's collectively headed by the ANC on the basis that our comprehensive agenda for change in this country, no other party has got that ability and a thoroughgoing program than the one that we have, the National Democratic Revolution. And therefore we've accepted the ANC leadership in that regard. But if it fails, the working class must assume leadership of the NDR and continue the struggle.
When you say the ANC has not implemented policies that you as the alliance partner are pushing, are you therefore suggesting that the ANC or the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa has failed in this regard, hence the economy is at this state that it's in?
It's not a particular leadership of an individual. It's a collective leadership and collective mandates. You take the ANC manifestos that have got key working class questions, which are the basis we have supported the ANC elections. Those are not implemented. Let me give you an example. If you take the current ANC manifesto, the printed version, right in the middle, there's a question of prescribed assets, wherein the ANC could direct investments in the country. It's not been implemented. So the rural areas remain more poverty-stricken when capital concentrate money in investment in Cape Town, in Sandton, in Johannesburg, in Durban, and overseas, when the money of South African workers is not being used for the country's development. It's in the manifesto, but it's not being implemented. We accepted the manifesto in 2019 elections, 2 months after Tito Mboweni launched his own manifesto. In other words, he proposed a program which was supported by big capital in this country, which is now part of what we call the National Recovery Plan, which the Communist Party has rejected, because it then says job creation and economic wealth in this country will be created through network economies. In other words, will be created through competition in network economies, which is water, sanitation, transport, energy, all of those kind of telecommunications. These are critical sections of development in our society. You don't leave them to business to lead. The state must lead in those.
Mr. Solima Paila, the General Secretary of the SACP, thanks for your time. But Masego, let me bring in the man who is running the organizational matters of the African National Congress in Limpopo Province. His name is Ruben Madache. Msanda, you have heard what your alliance partners, the SACP, are saying. They are basically lamenting the fact that as the ANC, you don't seem to be pushing policies that they believe will lift the majority of people out of the state of poverty and helplessness in this country. Why?
No, thank you very much. And we want to first state it very clearly, or recognize the ANC. We will always be worker biased. We will always walk side by side with workers and our alliance partners. But you will understand that the ANC is a governing party, but there are deployees that are deployed in various portfolios in government. And we want to agree with the views and sentiments of the Communist Party that there are policies that we are not implementing according to what we have agreed and promised our people and workers, and we are worker biased.
Okay, just a quick final one. Some people are saying, the ANC is marching against itself, and that may not inspire confidence.
No, the ANC is marching against government. Government is a very big institution. The ANC is just a governing party, but we have sent deployees there. We can't fold our arms when the economy is not in good shape. Our position is very clear. Even the ANC, as the ANC of the province, we have encouraged our deployees in the provincial administration to continue to resolve issues of workers that are within their domain as the province. And we have committed ourselves to the COSATU of the province that the issues that are in the domain of the provincial administration, where we are in charge, we are encouraging our deployees to negotiate with COSATU in good faith and resolve them.
Ruben Madache Musanda, he is the secretary of the ANC in the province. At this point in time, Masego, the marchers are going towards the office of the premier, where they are going to be handing over a memorandum of grievances.
All right, Moloko Moloto, live for us in Polokwane with the workers there, as well as ANC and COSATU members. Now, let's take you to KZN, of course, where the march actually spreads to that part of the country as well, and many others, and that's where we find my colleague Letiwe Mhluli covering that leg of this particular march. Letiwe, how's it looking where you are? It looks a bit more quiet than a lot of areas in Gauteng. All right, it looks like Letiwe Mhluli is in a bit of a noise. Letiwe, just confirm if you can hear us. All right, it seems Letiwe is... Oh, there you go.
March here in Durban is underway. Members of COSATU and their affiliates are currently marching through the streets of Durban. Numbers of people have joined in this march. We do understand that a lot of them are complaining about the high food prices, inequality insecurity in the country, and they are calling on government to intervene. As you can see, the city has been brought to a standstill with members of SATU also joining in this march, calling for all these things that they are saying the government is not attending to. I'm going to try and speak to a few marchers and find out from them why they are joining in and why it's important for them to be part of this march. We are right now joined by the PSA. Take me through why you're joining in this march.
As PSA, we're one of the workers' class. We have sent our media statement to say we're busy with the piloting because we have rejected 2% increase. What we are saying as PSA, we're part of the collective. That's why we're here. The price, fuel is high, unemployment is high, food is high, everything is high. This is the time of the workers to be able to unite. That's the message that we are saying as PSA, and so we are part of the collective. We are dealing with the system, and these are the workers. We are sending a clear message to the president and the employer to say you must start taking the workers seriously.
We also see that members of the NOSA are part of this march. I want to ask them about the reasoning behind them joining in. They have been raising a lot of issues when it comes to the healthcare sector. Why are you part of this march? You have been crying and calling on the government's interventions when it comes to nurses and their needs. Why are you here?
We are here because we are demanding nurses, the employer or the government to give nurses what is due to them. They want their money, they need to get paid. During the COVID, we are frontliners. We didn't get anything to say this a token of appreciation that we appreciate you. We are short-staffed. The nurses are short-staffed. We need more nurses, and some nurses are staying at home and not employed. We want those nurses to be employed. We want people to get their money. We want people to enjoy to go to work, but the people are not enjoying to go to work because the employer is making the working environment unsuitable for employees. So that's why we're saying today we want what is due to us. Pay us and give us our money. Even now we haven't get our increment for this year. Why? Because the employer is delaying. These delaying tactics are affecting the working class. So the working class want their money. They want what is due to them.
What are you hoping to achieve today when you hand in your memorandum to City Hall?
The government must understand that without these employees or these frontline workers, it's nothing. He must be able to meet us and give us what we want, because these demands are affecting the communities that we are nursing or the communities that we are giving health to. So now the employer must know that we are really serious. If he didn't give us, he don't want to give us the money for this year, we're going to go to the streets. The hospitals will be closed, and the police stations will be closed. So we must come and meet with us so that we talk about these things and get our money and pay us, because our members are very frustrated. They are tired, in fact.
Thank you so much. As you can see, these are the scores of people that have come to this march. I also want to bring in SASCO because they do represent the youth of South Africa. As you know, that the majority of the people that remain unemployed in the country are the people who are very young in this country. So, hello,
how are you?
I'm very well. As a member of SASCO, as I can see, you're representing SASCO. A number of young people in the country, the youth, is unemployed. What is your message today?
No, our message today, we're here to support our parents, we're here to support COSATU. Our message today is that as SASCO, we came in numbers to ensure that we're here to support our workers, because tomorrow, people are going to be the workers of tomorrow, it is us students. So if we are not supporting our workers, if we are not supporting people who are unemployed, it means even ourselves, we're not taking care of our future, because as you know that as students who are future workers of this country, we have to ensure that our government creates jobs for this country. We can't have people who are skilled, because every time we preach that people must go to school and study. Once they've studied, they end up graduating and they don't have jobs. So our government should not only allow or should not only speak about private sector creating jobs, even government itself has a responsibility to create jobs for this country.
Thank you so much. So these are the views of SASCO who are representing the youth. They also have members of COSAS that are part of this march. I want to bring them in and ask them about some of their views. You are representing the youth. What is your message here today?
No, our youth, especially as COSAS, is very clear. Imali iyanyuka, school fees are going high, everything is going high, but wages are not going high. So our parents can't afford simple things. They can't afford school fees. We're not even getting this free education. So we're here to support the workers to ensure that we we show solidarity with them and ensure that everything that their cries are heard.
Thank you so much. So those are the views of some of the marchers here in Durban. We are currently at the Durban CBD. We will be handing over a memorandum of demands at the City Hall. COSATU members did share, or we did speak to them a bit earlier on, and they are saying that they need the government to intervene with ailing infrastructure, the economy, and also the unemployment rates in the country. They want the government to create these jobs. So we'll be catching up with more members who have joined into this march, and we will be talking to them about their frustrations as South Africans.
Letiwe Mdluli, live for us in Durban with that march. Do stay with eNCA. We've got you covered on all angles. Of course, at some point we'll be crossing live to Cape Town as well, where workers are also marching there. Now